side of his life was handled by one of the country's top television agents, who also dealt with celebrity speakers' bookings. And, of course, Humph did charity work. He always claimed most of this was done anonymously, but remarkably, thanks to ambiguous references on social media to fundraising events he'd attended, everyone seemed to know about it. Humph certainly regretted the end of his regular appearances on the box. He could become quite splenetic on the subject. I spent a little time on my own with him and had to listen to tirades about the short-sightedness of television executives and the incompetence of the hosts who had usurped his rightful place in the schedules. He was angry about the situation, and disappointed, yes. But I wouldn't have said his disappointment about the decline of his career was a sufficient motive for him to take his own life. But then, what did I know? The approach which had led to my involvement with the Carter family had come through Humph's wife, Teresa. She had just looked up online the declutterers round Chichester, known to the locals as Chai, where I'm based, and randomly chosen Spacewoman. During the years of maximum television earning, the Carters had bought a house near Amberley, a village at the foot of the South Downs in West Sussex. Though not quite qualifying as a stately home, it was a substantial 8-bedroom Victorian pile, and it was there that Humph and Teresa, well, I suspected Teresa mostly, had brought up their daughters Chloe and Kirsty. The two girls having been off their hands for some years, the Carters decided they needed to downsize, and they'd accumulated so much stuff during their residence in Staddles, that was the house's name, that they needed some basic decluttering done before they put the house on the market. I checked with Teresa that it was definitely decluttering she required. A lot of potential clients get in touch with Spacewoman when all they want is basic house clearance. I tell them patiently that there are plenty of firms that do that, but I'm not one of them. My business is helping people to find space in their homes by deciding what they want to keep and what they want to dispose of. Providing that service for people about to move, downsizing like the Carters, is not unusual. Actually, when I say the Carters wanted to downsize, I don't think that's quite accurate. Teresa Carter wanted to downsize. Humph was, I'm sure, less keen on the idea. Again, that was not unusual in my profession. Almost by definition, every job I do involves me infiltrating a house where there is some level of dissension, if not actual conflict. I gathered fairly quickly on my first encounter with both Carters that Teresa was the practical one. Whether that was in her nature, I'm not sure, but I think living with Humph had forced her to take on the role. He was the famous one, he was the busier one, and life at Staddles revolved around him. I was told quite soon that when they met, she had been acting successfully on television and in the West End under the name of Teresa Burrows, but she had put her career on hold to bring up the kids. That period of their lives had coincided with the sudden explosion of Humph's television success, and Teresa's career had never quite been taken off hold. She hadn't gone back to acting. It was Humph's assumption that she would take charge of everything domestic while he enjoyed his fame. When I first saw Staddles, I realised what a burden being in charge of a place that size would be. Cleaners and gardeners could obviously help, but somebody had to make God knows how many daily decisions just to keep the whole show on the road. It must also have been extremely expensive to run. Teresa had been honest with me from the start. Though nowhere near the breadline, their income had declined considerably from the glory days. When she told me this, she insisted that I shouldn't mention the financial imperative to Humph. He would take it badly. So, for a good few reasons, it was no surprise that Teresa wanted to downsize. In conversation, Humph supported that desire. Yes, he was as keen to downsize as his wife was, and yet his tone of voice and body language told the opposite story. Humphrey